Welcome to REV Your Metabolism, the podcast that fuels your body and ignites your health. I'm Alicia, your host, and today we're diving into the magical and sometimes maddening world of nutrition. Picture this. You're standing in the grocery store, surrounded by a sea of options, and suddenly every label feels like it's written in a different language. Sound familiar? But don't worry. Nutrition can be confusing, uncertain, and let's face it, a bit of a hot debate. But in this episode, we're going on a fun and enlightening journey to uncover the 5 principles of nutrition that science has almost unanimously agreed upon. And you're going to want to stick around because at the end, I'm sharing one more principle that's my personal secret weapon, tested and proven time and time again. Buckle up because it's going to be a fascinating ride. Hello. Okay, so today we're going to talk about science-backed nutrition principles that can be very transformative for many people. But before we get started, before I reveal these amazing things that we're going to talk about today, you know the deal. You got to go put on your favorite shoesies, get out there, get in some steps. We're going to walk and we're going to talk as I uncover this very, very important information for you today. As I mentioned in the intro, we're going to go over 5 principles, and then I'm going to give you a bonus principle that I use in my own with my own clients that works really well. Here we go. You ready? Principle number 1, weight loss and weight gain come down to one equation. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to say a but. Okay. Everyone knows this one, or have heard this one, but there's different theories on it. It's the energy balance equation, also known as calories in, calories out, or CICO for short. It goes like this. Energy in minus energy out equals changes in body stores. But here's where I want to stop. Sweet Rever. Is this true? Yes, this is 100% true. Energy in, energy out equals changes in body stores. But notice what that says, changes in body stores. Because this is why when I talk about, rather than saying weight loss, I always try to be very specific to say fat loss. Because if your goal is just to drop weight, then yeah, it's all going to boil down to calories in versus calories out. However, where that weight comes from really matters. If you're losing weight, but it's in the form of lean muscle mass, then you're essentially making it so that your body can wants to run off of less calories, which means you have to eat less. It's going to mean that you've slowed down your metabolism. It's also just bad for your overall health to lose lean muscle. So that's why, yes, is it true that calories in versus calories out is all that matters for weight loss? Yeah. But again, it's not so black and white as that, because we want to lose fat. We do not want to lose muscle. So in other words, when we look at this equation, when you take in more energy or calories, just know when I say energy, I'm talking about calories. When you take in more energy than you burn, you gain weight. When you take in less energy than you burn, you lose weight. When you take in the same energy as you burn, you maintain. So again, let me just get into the nitty-gritty here. It's like gravity. Principle is easy to test, gravity. With gravity, you continually release a heavy object, no matter how many times you try it. the object false. Now it's the same with energy balance. This is a scientific principle. If you reduce energy in and increase energy out, you're always going to get the same result. Body weight goes down. But again, this is where I want to make sure that I'm being very clear here, is your body either increases energy out, it's going to often by turning up the metabolism, or it's going to store the excess. So let me back up for a second. We convert energy from food, and any excess energy we take in, it doesn't magically vanish. Your body either increases the energy out, often by turning up the metabolism, or it stores the excess. Now, why do a lot of people say not all calories are equal? Again, it comes down to your goal, but I don't know many people who are like, I really want to lose muscle mass. But many complex factors influence calories in and calories out. So let me see if I can make this a little bit clearer. Calories in versus calories out, yes, it is true. But what you should be focusing on more than that, what's more important, is the factors that influence the calories in versus calories out. Your brain especially can turn up or turn down metabolism. And that has a massive influence on calories out. So I'm going to just quickly go through, when we're looking at energy balance, on one side, we're going to have factors that influence energy in. And on the other side, we're going to have factors that influence energy out. So I hope that, and this isn't an exhaustive list. I'm just going to hit the big ones. But I hope by doing this, I will show you, like, wow, there's a lot of factors that go in to that energy balance, calories in versus calories out thought. All right, so factors that influence energy in, meaning the calories coming in your body. Your appetite, and that's influenced by hormones that regulate appetite and satiety. And satiety meaning when you feel full, when you feel like you've had enough. Another factor that influences energy in is the food that you consume. It is, and this is influenced by energy density, your sleep quality, the availability of the food. Another factor that influences energy in is, and this is kind of mind-blowing for some people, and that's calories absorbed. This can be influenced by, or not can be, it is influenced by macronutrient intake, your age, your health status, your energy status. And then the last thing I want to talk about, this might be a good time to do a fact or fiction. Fact or fiction. All right, fact or fiction. Psychological factors can influence energy in. That is a fact. And what I mean by psychological factors is factors that influence calories in are going to be stress levels, perceived control, self-esteem, sleep quality. Okay, so now let's talk about factors that influence energy out. And again, this might be a little bit like, woo, energy burned at rest. This is influenced by your body size, your hormones, your dieting history, genetic factors, your health status, your sleep quality, and your age. Another factor that influences how many calories go out is energy burned through exercise. So this is influenced by intensity, duration, frequency, type, environment, as well as hormones and sleep quality. I hope you're starting to see a common thread running through here. Hormones and sleep quality. Another factor, energy burned by non-exercise activity. That's just moving throughout the day, walking to your car, washing the dishes, taking out the trash. This is influenced by, same thing, health status, energy status, stress levels, hormonal status, genetic factors. And then the last thing I want to talk about here, another factor that influences energy out, is energy burned by metabolizing food. So this is influenced by the macronutrient makeup and how processed the food is. So stop right here for a second. I want you to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. Energy burned by metabolizing food. It's influenced by the macronutrient makeup because we've talked about this before. Should we do another fact or fiction right here? You want to? Because you should know the answer to this. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right. Fact or fiction. The thermic effect of food refers to the calories that are burned in order for the body to process, digest, metabolize your food. That's a fact. That's right. I know you got it right. So the thermic effect of food means when we eat food, your body has to use energy, meaning calories, in order to process that food, to metabolize the food, to digest the food. Protein has the highest thermic effect of food. So when we're talking about that, the calories that are going out is influenced by our macronutrient makeup, this is because how much protein is in the food you ate. That's gonna impact how many calories are getting burned. And then the second part, how processed the food is. If your food is overly processed, a lot of the times, your body does not really know what to do with a lot of that junk. So it's going to have a very different impact than if you're eating whole foods that are full of nutrients that the body needs. You're going to be able to use more of those calories. So there's going to be a greater calorie out. Last thing I'm going to talk about here, to better understand energy balance, I want to circle back to the law of gravity. Now, the law of gravity, this basic equation applies to every object, dropped from every height. But a lot of factors affect it, like air resistance. So at the end of the day, yes, calories in versus calories out is true. However, you've got to take into account the complex factors that affect that equation. And you've also got to take into account what you're doing to your metabolism if you're only focusing on just counting calories, right? You want to leave your metabolism revved. You want to be burning fat. Okay, let's move on. And you know what I'm actually going to do right now? I'm going to give you a few tips. This is going to be pretty cool. So let's think about that overall energy balance and how can we shift it in your favor? So if you want to reduce your calories in, let me give you a few tips. So again, we're thinking of this balance equation, right? Calories in over here, calories out over there. So if you want to reduce your calories that are coming in, here's some tips. You ready? I hope you're listening because this is a good one. Consume more fiber-rich vegetables to reduce the number of calories your body absorbs. Yeah, I know. It's pretty rad, right? Consume more fiber-rich vegetables to reduce the amount of calories your body absorbs. Because guess what? Your body does not absorb calories from fiber. Why didn't I make that a fact or fiction? That was a good one. Another tip to reduce calories in is consume more protein to reduce your appetite and therefore overall energy intake. Another tip is eat slowly. This is really important. Eat slowly so you can tune into hunger and fullness signals. Stop eating when you're satisfied, not stuffed. And I'm going to come back to this because this is a major, major tip. This is a behavior change that works really well. Another way to reduce calories in is use hand portions to guide you how much to eat. So try to get that portion control down pat. And then finally, get enough sleep, because it's going to reduce your hunger and your cravings for sweets and junky junk. All right, now let's talk about how to increase calories out. Well, yeah, you can do cardio. Cardio is a great way to burn calories. I wouldn't put it at the top of my list. If there's a whole episode that I did talking about how to prioritize your workouts if your goal is fat loss. Cardio is great at burning calories, but I would suggest 2 things before that. Number 1 is increase your daily activity, just movement. Take the stairs, park farther from the store, wherever you're going. Use an activity tracker, a fitness tracker, to nudge you to take more steps. Try to get that 10,000 steps a day, because that has a major impact on how many calories you burn each day. And the next thing I'm going to say is add strength training to build more lean muscle, boost overall metabolism, and burn more calories. Boom. Then once you're doing those 2 things, okay, now if you want to do the cardio, that's fine. But do daily movement first and the strength training, those 2. Boost your protein intake to increase that thermic effect that we talked about when you're digesting the food. And here's a big one, and people know this, but I'm telling you, it's a rarity that people actually do this, is you need to get good sleep, and you need to give that Zen monkey some love, meaning stress management. Really important for a healthy metabolism, those 2 things. And when I talk about it to people and they're like, oh yeah, I know stress, but but are you doing anything about it? Right? Okay, let's move on. Because I'm not going to spend that much time on these other things, but I feel like when I'm scrolling social media, that's what I see coming up a lot, is it's all about calories in versus calories out. And then other people, no, it's all about your macronutrients. It's all about what you eat. So in a way, they're both right. However, it's not as simple as saying lower your calories and that is your only approach if you want to lose weight, because again, it can have a massive backlash if you're not focusing on losing fat specifically rather than losing weight. All right, moving on. Principle number 2, protein is the most important macronutrient to get right. Why? 2 reasons. I already mentioned one, but let's get into this. Reason number 1 is it helps you eat less without feeling so hungry. Research consistently shows that protein helps you feel full longer. So as a result, you lose weight because you eat less. And that's in part because it takes longer for the body to break down protein than carbs or fat. But protein also stimulates the release of satiety hormones in the gut. So when you eat protein, you naturally tend to eat less. And it makes a big difference. Doubling your protein intake could help you spontaneously consume 400 fewer less calories a day. And let's compare that to ice cream, because that's about roughly the number of calories in 1.5 cups of ice cream. So yeah, that's pretty flipping cool. And I like to tell people, when you are trying to dial in your nutrition, rather than being so overwhelmed by, I've got to have I need this many calories, this much protein, this much carbs, this much fat. This is what I say. Just focus on getting the right amount of protein. If you can just do that, for most people, you're going to see some significant results. And since we're talking about protein, let's do another fact or fiction. Let's talk about how much protein that you need. And again, I would say just focus on this for a while. Fact or fiction? The amount of protein that you should take in per day is about 50 grams per day. All right. I mean, that was kind of a lame one. That's obviously fiction because, first of all, it depends on how much you weigh, what your goal is, a bunch of things. But this is my general rule of thumb. What do you want to weigh? What is your ideal body weight? Let's say that is 150 pounds. Then I recommend you eat 150 grams of protein per day. So whatever your ideal weight is, that's how many grams of protein I recommend that you aim for. If you're nowhere near that, right? If you're like, I'm probably, I mean, it'd be kind of cool just to track what you're eating in a normal day just to see where you're at right now. But if you tell me, oh, I'm eating like 60 grams of protein per day, just try to start for at least 100 grams of protein per day. Okay. So there goes a puppy dog. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the pup in the background. All right. Reason number 2 that protein is the most important macronutrient to get right is that protein makes it easier to build and maintain lean muscle. Without adequate protein, our bodies just can't function well. Remember that protein is sometimes referred to as our body's building blocks. And protein is made up of amino acids. And we need these amino acids to produce important molecules like enzymes, hormones, neurotransmitters, antibodies. So when we don't have enough protein, our bodies plunder it from elsewhere, like our muscles, resulting in muscle loss. And this is especially true if we're eating fewer calories than we're burning. So again, back to the calories in versus calories out. You don't want, if you're not eating enough protein and you're lifting weights and you're hoping or doing some type of resistance training, your body might have to tap into some of that precious muscle that you have to use it to get those amino acids. And that is no bueno. Now, on the flip side, a high protein diet seems to maximize muscle protein synthesis, which should lead to more muscle gain for people who are strength training and consuming enough calories. Protein synthesis, very oversimplified way to say it, it's how your body basically takes protein and turns it into muscle. So this is probably one of the reasons high protein diets are better for improving body composition, meaning the shape of your body, than normal diets or low protein diets. Check this out. A review of 38 studies found that for people who are out of shape, consuming extra protein won't magically build muscle. But people who are really being consistent with doing some strength training workouts, getting in that resistance training, eating more protein seems to boost their results, helping them to get that lean muscle that they're wanting. So what does this mean for you? The right amount of protein, again, it's going to vary for each person. Obviously, you know, if you're taking a bodybuilder who's getting ready for a competition, the bodybuilder is going to be eating like 50 grams of protein at each meal, like 6 meals a day. So someone hoping to work off an extra 20 extra pounds is not going to need that much protein. But again, I gave you a guideline. I would shoot for 100, I'm sorry, at whatever you want to weigh, shoot for that. Have that be your goal in what you're going to eat in protein every day. All right, principle number 3. As food processing increases, nutrient density decreases. Minimally processed whole foods, right? Nuts, eggs, fish, broccoli contain a vast selection of vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, which is plant nutrients, and zoonutrients, which is animal nutrients. Though, again, there's a lot we don't know exactly what each nutrient does. But the one thing that is coming clear in several studies is that humans are healthier when they consume more whole foods and fewer refined foods or overly processed foods. And This is probably because, again, the more processing that happens, the higher the likelihood is that the food has lost nutritional value, like fiber, essential fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, and then again has gained additives if it's overly processed, preservatives, fillers, sugar, sodium, refined starch. Now, this is a lot easier to see when you compare specific whole foods to their more highly overly processed equivalents. So I'm going to give you some examples, or I'm going to give you actually one example. Let's take a meal, 2 meals put together side by side. One of them is a fast food burger with fries. And the other one is a steak and potato dinner. Let's compare. Just a couple little comparisons. First of all, the steak and potato dinner has about 350 calories less than the burger and fries. Yeah. Way more protein, probably like 60 grams of protein in the steak dinner versus 38 or less in the burger. Fiber, I don't know, 2 grams in the burger and fries, and then more like 10 in the steak and potatoes. Way more iron in the steak and potatoes, way more vitamin A, way more vitamin C, tiny minuscule amounts of those in the burger and fries. But that's just one comparison. You could analyze any whole food along with its more refined counterpart, and you're going to see similar differences. So it makes sense that a diet full of these minimally processed whole foods are going to, number one, rev your metabolism, but also lead to lower rates of like heart disease, cancer, depression, type 2 diabetes, lots of other health problems. Minimally processed whole foods are also rich in fiber and or protein, 2 nutrients that really help to boost that feeling of satiety, meaning that you feel satisfied faster because you eat less naturally. And they tend to have fewer calories per serving than these overly highly processed refined foods. And both of those things are going to make it easier for us just to naturally control our weight or to naturally lose the weight. One randomized controlled trial even found that people ate a stunning 500 more calories per day when they consumed a diet rich in these overly processed foods compared to a diet high in whole foods. That's basically like eating a whole extra meal per day. In fact, minimally processed whole foods may be what all successful diets share in common. I think so. Minimizing your consumption of refined sugars, flours, these other overly processed foods, and instead focusing more on whole foods and veggies. You're going to experience improvements in blood pressure, your insulin sensitivity, your blood sugar, cholesterol levels. And let's say something really quick. Cholesterol. If you have high cholesterol, obviously listen to what your doctor says, but I'm going to tell you something. A lot of times, if you just start to focus on eating more fiber-rich foods, it's going to help your cholesterol. Just throwing that out there. And let's keep in mind something as we're talking about this. Progress is so much important than perfection. Please ditch the all or nothing mentality. The goal is if you just got 1% better each week, you would be like a completely transformed person inside and out by this time next year. I want to just say, give you a couple of quick examples. We're going to talk about the same food as a whole food form and then a highly processed form, just to give you some ideas of what I'm talking about. So take a sweet potato and that's a whole food form, right? Now we make it into sweet potato fries, so it's processed. Now we make it into sweet potato pie, overly processed. Let's take an apple. That's a whole food. Now we make it applesauce. All right, now it's processed. Applesauce muffins, now it's overly processed. You getting what I'm saying here? All right, let's just do one more. Peanuts in a shell. It's a whole food. Then we make it peanut butter. Okay, now it's a little bit processed. Then we make peanut butter cookies, overly processed. Okay? So the more processed something gets, the fewer nutrients it's going to have. And as we talked before, that is going to impact the calories out part of that equation. When your body has less nutrients, you're eating all these overly processed foods, you're messing up that energy balance. And this is why, if you're somebody who has been counting calories and you're not seeing results, there's so many. I just want you to know that there's so many factors. Number one, you got to look at your sleep. But are you getting enough nutrients? And I mentioned all those factors that go into the calories in versus calories out. So when I work with people, I always recommend, let's work on getting your metabolism balanced and healthy. Once that is happening, then you can go to the calorie counting. All right. Number 4 principle, fruits and vegetables reduce disease risk, and they may help you lose weight too. So this is something a lot of people agree on, almost everybody. Among the various types of whole foods, though, produce deserves special mention. They are loaded with health-promoting antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, fibers, phytonutrients. A huge body of evidence from the past 20 years definitively shows that consuming more produce can help prevent a wide range of health problems, including diabetes, stroke, heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer. Trip out on this. By simply increasing vegetable and fruit intake, experts predict that we could prevent 20% or more of all cancer cases. That would be avoiding approximately 200,000 cancer-related deaths annually. I know. An increasing number of studies also suggest that consuming a diet rich in antioxidant and anti-inflammatory foods, which is fruits and vegetables, may also lower the risk of developing neurodegenerative disease. And before you ask me, can I take it in a pill? This is what everybody always says. Can I just take it in a pill form? Food beats supplements. Once the nutrients, such as the antioxidants, are isolated from the whole food, from the whole produce, and inserted into capsules or powder or whatever, they seem to lose some and perhaps all of their power. And then eating a pattern, oh my goodness, an eating pattern rich in produce can help you more easily control your weight. And this is because of the fiber and the water content. So it helps you to fill up on fewer calories. Your body doesn't absorb the calories from the fiber. An entire head of cauliflower is only 150 calories. All right. Before I move on to principle number 5, think of the whole saying, eat the rainbow, meaning, rather than sticking to one magic power food, you're like eating blackberries every single day. Try to, switch up the colors of the different fruits and vegetables you're eating, because they all have different types of antioxidants and phytonutrients. All right, number 5 is sleep affects what you eat as well as your overall health. I need you to stop and listen to this, because I think this is a problem for so many people. I see this issue pop up a lot. People will nail everything with their nutrition, but then still struggle to reach their goals. And a lot of times it's because they're not getting enough sleep. And then once they start to prioritize their sleep and the sleep quality, they start to see results. So what's the connection? If you sleep 5 or 6 hours when you really need 7 or 8, you keep your body in a chronically sleep deprived state. And this is going to impair your body's ability to regulate several key hormones. 2 specifically, ghrelin levels rise, and that's going to trigger hunger. Leptin levels fall, so it takes longer to feel full. So sometimes if you feel like you're tired and you have this, like you just want to have a sneaky snack at all the time, that's the result of not getting enough sleep. You can't keep yourself away from the cookies. It's like you can't get satisfied with your food. You keep having these cravings. By not getting enough sleep, you're just hungrier and you crave more sweets than you normally otherwise would. You're also tired, so you're going to exercise and move less. Bottom line, sleep-deprived people tend to eat at least 300 more daily calories than people who get enough sleep. And in addition to interfering with your weight loss goals, lack of sleep is also just horrible for your health. Just one night of sleep deprivation can lead to increased blood pressure the following day. So what does this mean for you? Most of us just aren't sleeping enough. Getting to bed at midnight and getting up at 6, it's not going to cut it. So I want you to start there. If you're out there walking, you're waving your hands in the air saying, "This is me, Alicia, this is me. I'm not getting enough sleep." It could be literally the key to your complete transformation and overhaul. And I don't just mean if weight loss is your goal, yes, but I also just mean slowing down aging, energy, better mood. It's everything. Well, let's get into that bonus principle that I was talking about. That's my little secret sauce. Internal appetite regulation. It's game-changing for most people. I know people often rely on calorie counting to guide what and how much they eat. And in some cases, I think it can be helpful, but there is a big downside. So I always recommend, if you want to do it just to kind of get an idea of what you're putting in your body for a week or two, great. But when people rely solely on these external cues, following strict macros or calorie counts, they tend to lose touch with these natural internal cues that tell them when to eat and when to stop. And while you might assume people need a strict food tracking method to reach their goals, I just haven't found that to be the case. And this is especially true when you learn to listen and respond to your internal sense of hunger and fullness. And again, this is known as internal appetite regulation. But if you could just relax, eat slowly, tune into your thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations, you can make phenomenal progress with this important skill. And I also, another thing that worries me about the calorie counting is I've seen it so many times. People start to get two things. They get very obsessive in an unhealthy way about food. And number 2 is that food becomes almost like a math equation. It's not, there's no enjoyment. It's, I eat this, what's in this box, because I put it in my calorie counter. It's very robotic. And I don't think that is a sustainable or healthy way to live. So I highly recommend, it works with a lot of people. Maybe I should that's what we should do, a whole episode on how to do this. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. So again, we talked about today 5 principles that science is science-backed, research-backed. And we talked about how we know that because we're looking at studies that have that 5-factor, hit all the 5 factors. So remember, number 1, yes, it's true. Calories in versus calories out. Yes, that is all about weight loss. But at the end of the day, for most of us, we want to focus on fat loss specifically, not just weight loss. Protein, most important macronutrient to get right. If you're really trying to dial in your nutrition, I want you to start just by focusing on getting enough protein, right? What is your ideal weight? Number 3, we need to be eating more whole foods, less overly processed foods. Very important. Number 4, we're really honing in specifically on fruits and vegetables. And number 5, got to get that sleep. You got to get that sleep. And then the bonus tip was learn to start to pay attention to internal cues for, are you hungry and have you had enough? Man, thank you for being here with me today. I hope you got a lot out of that episode. And I have a really cool new surprise. Well, I'll just tell you, I'm doing this new quiz coming up soon. I'm almost done with it. It's really, really cool. So next week, I'll tell you more about it. But hey, thanks for being here with me today. I hope you got in a great walk. I love seeing you here. And share this episode, share the love, send it out to your friends. Tell them that, join our little tribe of Revers. All right, Rever, have a fantastic day, fantastic week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.
Inspirasi tanpa batas, you know who I am. Notasi